Hello, this is the language and effect part of the Darkling Thrush. So in this poem, The Darkling Thrush by Thomas Hardy, there's lots of, some religious language. He uses the word evensong in stanza 3, blessed hope in stanza 4, and carolings in stanza 4, and fling his soul in stanza 3. So pause it now and highlight those examples of religious language. This religious language adds another layer of meaning to the emotional feeling of the narrator. Not only does the thrush make the foreboding or uneasy winter seem more bearable, but it reminds the narrator that there is hope for the rest of the world as well. There's hope that winter will end, and there's hope that things will move on into the 20th century, and that life will become easier again after the winter finishes, and maybe even that things will be easier and continue after life itself has ended. So there might be a heaven. And this hope, blessed hope, it extends beyond his own simple life and into the realm or the area of the spiritual. Blessed hope, spiritual language there. The language used to describe the thrush is important. Hardy describes him as frail, gaunt, and small. He's weak and unhealthy, even though he has this beautiful sounding singing voice, and he gives hope to the narrator. He's described as frail and gaunt and small. When he describes him like this is the first introduction to this bird, and Hardy wants to put him in the same ghoulish area as the people, the same ghostly area as the people. He really wants to emphasize the fact that this bird is not strong, even though he's bringing joy to a dark, dark land. The phrase frail, gaunt, and small shows the insignificance of the individual in the larger scheme of things. So the thrush is symbolizing the people in the 19th century. And maybe even Hardy himself might be a metaphor for the thrush might be a metaphor for Hardy. Might it be Hardy describing himself? That's up to you to decide. Like the thrush, the writer, Hardy, is just a single person, and regardless of his importance, regardless of how many beautiful poems he wrote and how many well-received novels he wrote, and no matter how successful he was, he can't help to have a massive impact in the world. He is only one writer. Just like the thrush, he's only one bird, and actually only the narrator can hear him sing him. But he's doing it for himself. Just like the thrush, the writer chooses to make an effort with his skills and try to change the world through his creations, even if it's only in a small way. The writer, Hardy, cannot lie back and die. Instead, he's compelled to sing or write in his own unique voice and prose and poetry. So basically, even if Hardy is not going to change the world, he still wants to make a little bit of an effort, just like the thrush, which is actually a great way to live your life. It's the idea of lots of little small things building up and making one big change. If lots of people made lots of small changes, the world would be a better place. The language used in the Darkling Thrush gives a bleak, desolate, and depressing atmosphere and tone to the poem, particularly the first 3 stanzas. You should highlight this depressing words in the poem now. Spectra grey, desolate, weakening, broken, haunted, corpse, crypt, death lament, shrunken hard and dry, fervorless, bleak, aged, growing gloom, all very depressing words, which adds to the desolate atmosphere and the desolate setting of the poem as well. And the narrator's feelings at this time, at the end of the 19th century, and Hardy's feelings about life at the end of the 19th century. It's a pretty depressing poem, but it does end with some positives. The birds singing, the hint that there are better things to come, but the majority of the poem is depressing. Okay, and have a think about effect as well. What is the effect of the poem? How does it make you, as the reader, feel? Does it make you feel sad and depressed that there's no point in the world, that things are going to die and we may as well just all give up, lose hope, and become depressed? Or does it make you feel that there are, at the end of all difficult periods, there are some bright periods as well? At the end of winter, there's spring. At the end of a year, it might have been a difficult year, but at the end of the year, there's a new year. You've had a difficult day, but you wake up and it's a new day, a new beginning. You might be really sad about leaving school this year, leaving your friends, but there are so many exciting things to look forward to in life. Does this poem make you feel like that? Have a think about it. And finally, some questions to think about. These aren't essay questions, and it's not the kind of question that you will receive in the exam, but it does make you think deeper about the poem, which is what we all want. So why doesn't the speaker himself have an ecstatic moment? Who does have the ecstatic moment? It's the thrush. But why doesn't the narrator have that ecstatic moment? Why is it only the bird that gets to see the good things ahead? Is this a poem about the end of the 19th century? In which case it would be depressing. Thinking back about throughout the 19th century and looking backwards, or is it a poem that's looking forwards to the beginning of the 20th century? Think about that, and then think, how does this decision, whichever choice you've made, how does that change your reading of the poem? Does it change the tone and atmosphere of the poem? Is the speaker a pragmatist, which means that you are a practical person and you see things in practical ways? Or is he an over-the-top drama queen who makes a drama out of everything? So is this just a field in the wintertime with a bird singing? That's it. Or is it this feeling of being isolated and lonely and fearing the new things that are coming in the world? Is it the fact that the people in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, have given up on life, or they're changing because of the Industrial Revolution, and Hardy doesn't like the new kind of world that he sees at the beginning of the 20th century? You could see it both ways. And does this poem truly seem to be upset about the coming of the new century? Why or why not? Some questions to think about if you want to go deeper into the poem. And I suggest you do want to go deeper into the poem, because that is the only way to truly understand and appreciate poetry, is if you look beyond the surface meaning. And if we're just talking about grades, although reading poetry is about enjoying poetry, of course you are doing this for a reason, and that is to pass an exam at the end of it. If you want to get an A or a B, you have to go beyond the surface meanings. You have to dig down into the deeper meanings, the inferences of Thomas Hardy's poetry. So, something to think about. To be continued in class on Monday and Tuesday. I hope this is more helpful for you.